Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Kendy, who was working as a payroll administrator and very burnt out and unhappy in her career when she found my course. She hustled very hard and she got her first digital marketing position doing SEO and making about $52,000 a year. But most importantly, she is very happy in her new remote career. And I'm very excited to share her story with you. Thanks for being here, Kendy.
Hi, Seth. Thanks for having me today.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current position?
Sure. I'm currently working as an SEO specialist at a boutique agency here based in Vancouver. And my job is to run technical and SEO audits for clients. So that was in the very beginning. Now that we have another technical SEO specialist taking care of those. And my role also more content focused. I create blog posts, refresh older blog posts so to help them rank higher in Google, and also write and edit title tags and meta descriptions. And I look for any backlink improvement opportunities, and also audit if there's any toxic links on the website. And there's more things I do on a day-to-day basis, but those are the most important tasks.
You gave us a really good insight. That's a very detailed answer. And I know some of you guys watching may not know what she's talking about because you're new to SEO and digital marketing, but that's what's so exciting about this field is that, you know, before Kendy took the course, she didn't know what those things were either. But it's a really good summary of what you're doing. And as I said, the most important question is, how do you like your new job?
I love it. And there's a lot of things to learn. Every day is different. No one day is the same, even though maybe if you are listening to this, I'm doing the same task every day, but every client is different. So the task to me is different. And I've been here for 2 months, but still I'm learning every day, and I will continue to learn every day.
Awesome. So, and that's really, I'm glad you hit on that about learning new things. The dynamic nature of the field is what's very important. And so that brings us to what you were doing before, because you were, some people we've interviewed were like, college graduates or they're kind of new in their career, but you were already working as a payroll administrator, correct?
Yes, that's correct. So before I became an SEO specialist, I was working at a real estate development company as a payroll administrator. I was there for about 2.5 years. And I felt that I wasn't being or learn new things. I feel like I wasn't learning as much as I thought would be in that industry. And also the work was kind of repetitive and unsatisfying. And it's just because I really like learning and there wasn't many learning opportunities. So I thought about changing my career.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think, you said to me when we were chatting before, I mean, it was boring, right?
Yes, it was boring.
Yeah.
It's so different from digital marketing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's we're going to get to how you transitioned in a moment, but what is the difference between the payroll job? Because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to just having a boring or unsatisfying job where you're kind of like a robot. You're doing a task that isn't engaging you. And how does that differ from your digital, working in SEO and digital marketing?
Okay. So payroll is more like maybe I should say it's not like a creative job. Everything it's set, and then you just follow almost pretty much every time when you process payroll, unless there's some changes in legislation or just anything that it's unexpected. But overall, the workflow is pretty much the same. But in digital marketing, when I first came to learn about either PPC or SEO. I know that you've taught us that, or you explained that there's so many things, and so many things are changing, so many things to learn, that really got me excited in the beginning. And that's how I really wanted to learn more about it.
Yeah, so it sounds like every day you go to work, you're working with different clients and there's different challenges, and it's never like, would you say like the days are not the same like they were before?
Yes, the days are not the same because every client's needs and their goals are different. So we have to be creative, finding ways to help them grow, even though maybe they're in the same industry, but because business is different. So yeah, so I have to be creative, but also be analytical at the same time, because I have to also analyze some data in Google Search Console or Google Analytics.
Yes, absolutely. You said it really well, because I say to people why I think this field and why my students love it so much is because it is both creative and analytical. You get to use your left brain and your right brain, whereas most jobs really are just using your left brain. There's not too many right brain creative. I mean, there's not a lot of high paying poetry jobs, most of them, engineering even, or things like that, things where you're like doing data entry. I mean, it's all like repetitive left brain stuff. So I'm just happy, I'm happy that you are happy with this new career. That's like very, very important. So what people always wonder is like, so what was it like taking the course, and you're working a full-time job while you're taking the course. So how was it going from taking the course to getting the job?
To be honest, it was hard. It was not easy. When I watch like testimonials or some videos, some students, they could get a job in 30 days or 3 months. I was like, oh, okay, I thought I could do that too, but no, it took me about more than 1 year to get it from first started learning until I get my first job. So I bought your course at the end of December of 2020. And then, so January, February, I was going through the course. So I went through twice, but I still was very confused, and I just kept pushing. And then, so from March till September, I had to take a break because of personal reasons. But in between, I did, from time to time, I watched some tutorials like from Angie. I was SEO, but in the beginning, I wasn't sure. I think I even told you that I'm only interested in PPC, and I didn't understand SEO at all, no matter how many times I watched. But until I watched Andrea's videos, I was like, oh, okay, I think I understand a little bit. And because she was leaving, like she couldn't mentor anymore, so I managed to finish an audit just before she finished mentoring. And during that time, I mean, when I was doing the audit myself, I thought, oh, actually SEO is very interesting. I think I understand more about SEO than PPC, because when I was doing PPC assignment, I had a really hard time, and then you had to send me back like twice, and then I still didn't really get it. But SEO was really different. So I thought, oh, okay, actually SEO is more analytical, and I really like that. So yeah, so not until like, I think September, October, I restarted the course again. I finished it once again, and I followed your instructions and did everything from like building website and to generating experience. So the building website part was really helpful because especially for SEO, when I first started, I had to immediately go into WordPress to update some things for a client. If I didn't have that experience, I would be really lost too. And then, yeah, so back to job searching. I started applying in December of last year, but I wasn't focusing on applying for SEO job. I was open to anything. And I thought I would get a job quickly because I thought people can get it in 30 days. Maybe I could too. And no, I didn't. And so until February, of this year, I thought, okay, I really need to focus and just pick one because I wasn't doing really well during those PPC interviews. And yeah, so that's when I started just to focus on applying for SEO jobs.
And wow, that's very, I love I think it's a really great account because it speaks to a lot of the concerns people have. But if you break it down, it's a very positive experience. First of all, you said it took you a year, but then you said you took a break from March to September, which is like 6 months. Okay.
Yes.
So that's really 6 months. It took you 6 months. Second of all, I think I haven't in the last like 2 or 3 years, I've never said that you're going to get a job in 30 days. I really try to set people's expectations up to that. It's going to take about 3 to 6 months because I want you to have that long-term gratification mentality. And even whether it's 3 months or 6 months to have a career transition, that's very fast. Considering you didn't like, you told me your previous training in payroll was like a year-long certification course. Yes. But also, I think you're describing a lot of the elements that some people deal with, which is that, yeah, this is a completely new skill set. And some people take to it instantly. Other people, it takes, they have to go through it 2 or 3 times. Some people, it takes a while. But this should be very encouraging to you guys. If you were confused by SEO or PPC, Kendy's an amazing example, very inspiring to say, yeah, you didn't even like SEO. That's kind of funny. I didn't know that. You like PPC, but then it turned out SEO was really the thing you're passionate about. And everything you're describing to me is like a journey of discovery, because you're like, first you were going through the process. Again, this is how you learn anything. I'm dealing with this right now when I play tennis or learn Thai. Like, I have to deal with the frustration of not being good at something in the beginning. And it's just natural. And if you push through it, like Kendy did, you will have success. But you said you didn't like get it at first. You went through it a few times. Then you thought you liked PPC, and then you didn't really get it. Then you discovered SEO was really cool. And then you took a break, and then you came back, and then you were still working on PPC. You're kind of forcing yourself to do PPC during that time period where you were kind of, hoping to get a job quickly, but you weren't really focused on the thing you were most passionate about. Then I'll ask you, like, once you were like, I'm going to do SEO, this is my thing. How long did it take for you to get the interview and the job?
So I started just focusing on SEO in February. And also I applied for 23 jobs because I look back. And then it took me about less than 2 months to get my current job. And I was really happy that I made the decision to do that. And in between, actually, I took another 3-week break from applying because I was burned out. I was working full time, freelancing on the side, and also learning, self-learning SEO. So yeah, it was a lot for me. So I thought I needed that break, and yeah, it was really helpful.
That's great. So really, I mean, your timeline was not as long as you say it was. And I remember, I'm very proud of you because I remember you were very persistent, even though you were there were times where you were discouraged. But like, I think it's funny because I don't even think you mentioned to me. I mean, you took a 6-month break. Like, so again, collapse everything by 6 months. And then once you actually got clear that you wanted to do SEO, because I do tell you guys, like, I want you to have both skill sets in your pocket, but you should pick one that you like more to focus on. And you did that, and then it just took you a couple months, which in job searching terms is nothing. Again, being hired with 0 previous experience. So let's jump into that for a second. Like, you applied for about 20 jobs, and how did the interview go? Like, did you have how did this interview go? Like, did you told them that you were a payroll administrator, right? So what did they have to say about that? How did the conversation go?
Sure. For the first few SEO interviews, I knew that I didn't do well because I think some of the basic questions I couldn't even answer. I remember one of them was like, oh, what are some Google ranking factors? I was like, oh, sorry, what do you mean? I was like, okay, I'm not ready for interviewing because that time I was working full time, and also it was hard for me to take time off to do interview. So in March, beginning of March, I I quit my payroll job just to focus on job searching. And then after that, I found myself answering better, like giving better answers and understand what the interviewers are really asking. And I also
I'm going to
try many.
interrupt you for a second
Okay.
because I just want to speak to one quick point because I didn't know that either. That's another thing you didn't say that you quit, because that is true, guys. I know if you're transitioning or you have a full-time, if you're a full-time student or have a full-time job, I never say quit your job because you need that. It's a personal choice and decision, but if you do quit, it will free you up mentally, emotionally, and in terms of time to focus on your next goal. Also, Google search ranking factors. It's covered in the course a lot. Did you just forget, or like were you just not like present when you did that interview?
I think I did. You taught us everything, and then maybe I just didn't prepare. It was my fault.
I'm not trying to call you out. I just want to let anyone know who's like watching. It's like, yeah, that's definitely something we cover. And there's over 100 ranking factors for Google, and we cover the top few ones. And then there's a link to an article with there's so many different factors to that, but it's definitely a basic part of SEO. And it's good to know that if you're in an interview, that's probably is something they will ask you about that. But I think it's honestly, when you say that to me, I know you know that. And that's why I asked you. And I think it sounds more like you weren't 100% able to focus because you had this other job. You had this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So now tell me, okay, so you quit the job, you're completely focused on getting a new job. How did the interviews go then?
It went a lot better. So I had more time to use LinkedIn to leverage. So before I was just submitting application online with the site audit. But after I quit my job, I had time to actually do like an audit for that specific agency, and not for my current agency, but for another agency. And then I got a reply very quickly. So the ad was saying they require, I think, 2 or 3 years experience, but I thought I would try anyway because never know. So I did an audit for them, and then that agency owner actually got back to me within 5 minutes, and he was very impressed with my work. We had a conversation, and then I wasn't selected because I think they were actually really looking for someone with that much experience, because they don't have the time to train. But yeah, he said he told me to keep up with the work, and I was really touched, and actually I took a lot of time to study and learn, and I didn't know that I was actually doing well until someone was telling me. And then yeah, so the second interview after I quit my job was with my current agency, and just went through a very basic interview. And also the founder of the agency, also my boss, he's also really impressed with how much I've learned by myself and also on my own. And he gave me the opportunity to learn and work with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you spoke to other points I know people deal with, especially if you're considering this career, you're in the course. Like, I was encouraging you, but there's some students, I know you guys, and I've had this experience in my life in other fields. I never experienced this in digital marketing for some reason, but in other fields I've had this, where you really are more qualified and you offer so much more than you realize. So
I know.
And I can see it in every student is different. And this is sometimes a personality thing, but it's like, you don't give yourself enough credit, but then when that agency owner acknowledged you, it sounds like it really got you got it. Like you got like, hey, I have valuable skill sets. I've been working really hard, and I should, I deserve a job. And then the next interview, you got the job, which is fantastic. And, just having that conversation with the first agency owner is a victory. And I encourage you guys, whatever job, whatever career path you're on, you should look at every positive experience as a victory. even if you don't get the end result, the outcome, like, you didn't get the job. So what? You made a new connection. You maybe you'll work there in the future, and you got encouragement, and he acknowledged your value. And like you said, he got back to you in 5 minutes, which
Yes.
pretty fast, right? so so that's great. So at this new company, and I'm just curious, like, what did the job posting say? Did they say 1 year experience, no experience, 2 years experience? Do you remember?
Yes, that I don't remember exactly, and I couldn't actually find the job. I didn't apply for that job actually. So I saw the job posting on Google somewhere, and then but it says it doesn't require experience, but it requires Spanish speaking. So it says mandatory. So I reached out to the owner on LinkedIn, and I asked, I said, "Oh, I saw your ads. You're hiring for SEO specialist. Is Spanish speaking mandatory? I don't speak Spanish, but I think I told him I love working SEO, something like that, similar." And then he got back to me after a few days and asked for a call or a chat. And he told me that, okay, that role was actually filled, but you reached out to me at the at a great time, because someone else actually left the company. So I thought, oh, okay, then yeah, let's let's maybe give it a shot.
Yeah. Wow, you're speaking to a bunch of really cool, really good, great points, Kendy. So first of all, you reached out even though you didn't have the qualifications, which is fantastic. And also something you mentioned before, like, I don't know how much you guys, like, I don't know how much my students listen to this, because that's why I do it in the walkthrough videos where I'm like, apply anyway, even if it says 2 years experience, 3 years experience, 4 years experience, 5 years experience, apply anyway, because you don't know, like, that conversation with that agency owner who wanted the 2 to 3 years experience, that was a good experience. But if you kept going and if you didn't get this current job, you would have found another agency or another job that said 2 to 3 years experience, but they would have been open to working with you, because so many of my students have gotten jobs where the job posting said 2 to 3 years experience. And my whole thing is trying to encourage you guys to be bold and don't be discouraged by those things. So what are they going to do? If you don't get the job, if they don't get back to you, they don't get back to you. They're not going to throw you in jail for applying for a job that you aren't qualified for on paper. But the other thing is, so then, yeah, you didn't speak Spanish. I actually think that's funny, because I thought you were going to tell me that you spoke Spanish, and I was like, you had some crazy story about being Chinese and also Spanish or something. But no, you said you don't speak Spanish, but you reached out anyway. And that's another thing, guys. That was very bold of you. I think that's fantastic, and it worked out. And that's the other thing. It's you apply for a job where it says 4 years experience required. Many cases you will be considered and get an interview, but in other cases, like this is what happened with me in my career. I applied for senior positions I was not qualified for, but then they got back to me and said, hey, that position's filled, but there's another position open. There you go. You never know once you're on the path. And you also, I'm like, I don't talk about this too much, but like, I'm very much about intentionality and energy. And like, when you cleared out your old job, all that energy that was pulling you back, you committed yourself to moving forward. And that's when these serendipitous things happen. Like, it sounds like the timing was perfect. You reached out to this guy at the exact moment when he needed somebody. You weren't even, qualified for the job that you initially reached out about because you don't speak Spanish, but this new thing opened up. So it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So great. I'm very happy for you. And have at the new job, I'm curious, have they offered you any? You said you're learning new things every day. Are you getting any kind of training or support?
So in the first month, my boss, he spends at least 1 hour with me a day to teach me how to do different tasks. And then now I'm more comfortable and know what to do, but still, like, he assigns me new tasks. So then when something that I don't know, then he would still we would schedule a session about an hour to teach me everything that I need to know how to perform or how to do that specific task. And I'm really grateful for that, because I remember on the job posting, one thing that stood out to me is he mentioned that I will teach you everything about SEO. And I told him that too. I said, your job posting was really stood out to me because you said that, because I didn't see that kind of wording in any other job posting. Like, you sound very sincere, and yeah, make me really interested in reaching out to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to get that kind of support at a lot of places. But I honestly, Kendy, I mean, you already, like, I'm sure he's showing you how to do their particular approach to things, but you already have so much knowledge. Like, you already you already have a lot of more knowledge than I think you really acknowledge. That's a great quote. You have more knowledge than you acknowledge. But it worked out. That's fantastic. You didn't give up, and I'm very proud of you and happy for your current situation. And I'm gonna bring up one last point for people, because most people who I interview said, whether you're just coming out of college or high school, or you've had a really terrible customer service or Amazon warehouse job, you see a lot of those people have gotten these big pay raises. In your case, you actually took a pay cut for this job. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when I was working as a payroll administrator, I was making $68,000 per year, and I actually turned down a promotion and payroll analyst last August, because I was determined to switch job. And I thought, if I get like a raise, it would be harder for me to walk away, and also maybe more responsibility that will take me more time away from learning and studying. So yeah, it was a pay cut, but I believe that in the long run, I will be making good money. And also, it is a very good starting wage for now in Canada, because some of the jobs that I applied, they only offer like 45,000 Canadian per year. And I think for the support that I'm receiving from my boss, and also the flexibility, and also the learning opportunities, I think even though it is a little bit less than what I was making, but I do treasure that more than a higher salary.
That's perfectly said. That's why I brought it up, guys, because I focus on the salary a lot, and it is very important. But I mean, I've been contacted by so many people who are making six figures, very good money, but they're just miserable in whatever field they're in, whether they're in finance or law or engineering. And once you've reached that point where you're making this money, you kind of, you realize that it's not fulfilling. It's not worth being burned out and unhappy every day. And so I'm just bringing this up to be transparent, but also for anyone who's thinking of changing careers. If you are at a higher salary and you start low, it's fine, because as you said, within a year or two, you'll be back where you were, if not higher. And the experience of being happy at your job is just, as you said, you treasure that. And
Yes.
And that's pretty awesome way to put it. And by the way, anyone else watching who isn't transitioning careers, if you are, working at a lower paying job, or you're coming out of high school or college, 45K to 50K Canadian or US is a great starting salary, especially when you consider most college grads make like barely over minimum wage. Really, they make, $15 an hour, a lot of college graduates. And by the way, I didn't even mention this. Did you go to college?
No, I didn't go to college. Because I thought, like, I don't come from a traditional like Chinese family or Asian family. Yeah, so my family never really pushed me to get a college degree, and also, I don't know, that time I thought going to college is waste of time and money. So I never did, and people thought I was kind of crazy or not making sense. But I know one day I'll be doing something that I love, and that doesn't require a college degree. And yeah, and here I am today.
Yes. Awesome. That's so great. I love it. I'm meeting all these some people come from traditional families, and you were, it's very fortunate, and that you had the internal fortitude to see the truth that it wasn't worth the debt or the waste of time. And you already had a career. It's something great. You already had a successful career before this. And now now your goal is satisfaction, which is great. And you will be making what you were making before within a year or two. And that's just a reminder for anyone else watching, is that these are starting salaries. The starting salary is not the ending salary. It's just where you gain that experience and that confidence to leverage to the next position. But again, as we wrap things up, the fact that you're happy, I think is, and making good money is the most important thing. So that's fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing your story with us, Kendy. Is there anything you want to say to me or anybody watching the video?
Yes, thank you so much, Seth, for creating this awesome course. And like without this course, I don't know where or what I'll be doing, or actually what I'm doing. And also like to students who are struggling or thinking that it would take them like a long time to complete the course, that's okay. Like to me, when I first picked up the course again after the break, I felt like I was super behind, but Seth kept telling me that's okay, don't compare to others, and everyone has their own pace. That really helped me, and that's what kept me going, even though when time was really hard and then I was burned out. Yeah, just want to say, just keep going, and eventually you will get to where you want to be.
That's so great, Kendy. And do you have anything to say to anyone watching who has not taken the course?
Just if you want a fulfilling, rewarding career that will also allow you to work anywhere, whenever you want, I think digital marketing is the field that you should get into and look into and start. Seth's course is great, and I think you don't need to do any more research. Like for me in the beginning, I did a lot of research, and yeah, I'm very happy that I make the decision to purchase the course.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And by the way, we're going to wrap it up in a second, but you touched on something I forgot, which is your payroll job. Even though they're paying it paid more, you said they would not let you work remote, right?
Yes, so that time it was during COVID, now still like COVID, but it was in the kind of like in the beginning of COVID. And like while many companies allow employees to work from home, but the company didn't really like people working from home. And I thought to myself, my next job would be a remote job where I can work anywhere and anywhere and do whatever I want. Because I was a high performer, and so I didn't understand why that was not an option. And then after that, they make some changes, but still like it's just like 5 days a month. That is nowhere compared to what I'm doing now. I work at home every day. It's just fully remote. It doesn't matter what time I work, as long as I get my task done.
That's so great. That's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned it before we ended the interview, because again, digital marketing is this part of the culture. You're not going to be micromanaged. In most jobs, if you are, you can quit and get a different job, because this is, you watch a number of these interviews, you'll hear the same thing. These companies are built on a modern culture, a modern way of thinking. And the whole point is, get your work done. We don't care what you do. We're not your babysitter. We're not you're not in school. You're an adult. Get your work done and work from home. And why not work from home? And as you said, if you're a high performer, I had a couple other students say the same. You're a high performer, you're doing great work at your other company, and they won't give you the trust and what you need, to work from home, especially when there's like a health issue. That's an indication of a field or a company that is, I'm glad you made that intention to transition out of that. And now you're working remotely, and you can work from anywhere. That's I can see that from the smile on your face. That's an incredible freedom to have that. So I'm very happy for you. So anyway, Thanks again, Kendy. Great chatting with you. Thanks for sharing your story. Let's stay in touch, and we'll talk again in the future.
Thank you, Seth. It was nice chatting with you.